you have to imagine that some people probably did not make it out all right.
Everybody was on top of each other trying to come down, and then somebody finally calmed the crowd down.
767, it crashed about 10 a.m., about 8, certainly within the time frame of these other planes.
This is foul play. This is not an accident.
On September 11th, I was actually in 5th grade, and I remember Mrs. Moss's class.
On September 11th, 2001, I was actually at Ellsworth Air Force Base. I had just arrived, and I'd out-processed from the Pentagon about a week prior to that.
I was in the woods, elk hunting with my dad. Well, I was right here in this building, Fairchild Hall. We were, doing our normal everyday routine.
And as I was walking in, I just happened to see on one of the TV monitors that the company had throughout the building news about a plane crash in New York.
And one of the faculty had a little teeny black and white TV. Nobody has those anymore, but for some reason they had one of those. They had the rabbit ears and everything. And they were able to get the news.
And we get into class, and my teacher, Mr. Ritchie, he turns on the TV and he says, today we're gonna start class just watching this news program.
And my dad and I are both pilots, and that day we noticed, have you seen any planes flying over? No, I haven't seen any either. Didn't think of it again until the next day, so this would be on the 12th. We saw a business jet go over, being followed by 2 F-16s.
It was clear, I think, to almost everybody that this wasn't just a light plane that accidentally hit a building.
I think it was when the first tower was on fire or something like that, so they didn't really know what was going on. The teachers weren't saying anything because I don't think they were allowed to.
It was a day of really turmoil and confusion.
I still remember vividly the TV and then watching the second aircraft hit, and then just the sinking feeling, not knowing what was going on, but knowing that something was happening.
The whole makeup of our country, the whole makeup of the world changed on that day.
I thought, I can't believe that somebody actually attacked us. I mean, it was disbelief and anger, I think, all at the same time.
So what does this mean? What does this mean for our country? What does this mean for what we're about to go into?
And it really defined, my future from then on, because the world was completely different.
It wasn't just New York City's problem, it was an American problem.
I had a nightmare that night about standing out in my driveway and seeing terrorists walking down the road toward me, and my wife and kids were inside, and I remember thinking, I don't even own a gun. What am I going to do?
That was a day that I almost single-handedly decided that I was going into the military.
On the Monday after 9/11, when the full schedule for the airlines were starting to gin back up again, I was out flying, and the security at the airport and the things we had to do, it was going to work at a different place.
But at the same time, the company wanted employees to feel okay and to feel natural, because the work they did and the people that they were in contact with, military members and their families and a lot of folks there, I mean, that's the heart and soul of what the company did. And so the last thing you want to do if you called them up and needed some help was talk to a representative that was, panicking or didn't make you feel comfortable the way that the company used to.
But the nicest thing about living on base housing was I was on base, and so I could get around within the confines of the base pretty easy.
I was a 12-year-old. I didn't really expect this to happen at all. And then it kind of made things more real for me.
But I think everybody who had to kind of get involved in what the new normal was.
The deployments of the 90s after Desert Storm, the expectation wasn't that I was going to get hit. It was, I'm going to go do my time, I'm going to be a presence, and then we're going to go home. Our focus was still kind of on Russia, the Soviet Union, even though it was broken up. What was busy became a whole new busy.
Before 9/11, I didn't have one deployment. Since 9/11, I've had 3 deployments, 2 as a B-1 bomber squadron commander, and 1 with the Army for 1 year in Iraq.
Now, it's odd to find a space and missile officer who has not deployed at least once or twice to a combat zone and not doing your traditional job.
The deployments are getting, as we draw down, you can't go for 3 months anymore. It's 6 months or a year. People who had never deployed before found themselves deploying regularly.
We buried 2 faculty members, for crying out loud. I mean, and it wasn't, training accidents. These were folks that were in the show.
Deployments post 9/11, besides being longer, you're actually expecting to blow up something, shoot somebody, prevent something from happening, be shot at, possibly be ejecting because your plane is hit.
But more importantly, the families. It was a tough time for my family, but I can't even imagine some of our Army and Marine brethren and sisters who have had 5 and 6 deployments, what their families must go through in order for them to do what they have to do.
Our whole street, if we had a problem with something going on in our house, we needed a ride, couldn't get something done, kid needed to be watched, you could just go across the street, ask a neighbor, and they come over, no questions asked, and help out.
But we have to continue to live our lives, and we have to continue to serve this country because we all serve. It's not just me, it's my family too.
What I think has changed is the notion of service.
You raised your hand and voluntarily said, I'm gonna serve my country at a time when I think it is far more dangerous than ever in my lifetime.
Just the fact that you now have an academy that is fully populated with people that has never known or very little of their life has been, their adult life has been separate from this conflict.
I think that they understand their purpose, and no kidding, why they are a part of the U.S. military, probably more significantly than we did.
And they realize that it's serious business, that as soon as you graduate, you're expected to help out with that conflict, whether directly or indirectly.
I had always kind of known I wanted to go in the military, and it wasn't until probably 7th grade that I realized what the Air Force Academy was, and from there I knew automatically that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to serve my nation.
To save people's lives.
I admire and respect them so much for being able to be that kind of person of character.
When you understand your purpose and why you're doing what you do every day, it changes your life. It changes your life and it inspires you to do great things.
I just wanted to make the biggest contribution I could, and I thought that coming through here would be, a major stepping stone to being successful in the military. And
because somebody has to do it.
What better way could I spend my life?
They've been through some tough times, and I think that the difficulties that they've been through are gonna make them stronger and better for our country's future.
I feel like doing anything else, I would just be not living up to what I could do.
If somebody didn't stand up for this country, if we didn't have these young men and women that stood up consistently throughout our nation's history, we wouldn't be the nation we are today.